Good morning, children. Our today's lesson is lesson number 2, the tsunami. Now, what is tsunami? A tsunami is a series of ocean waves that send surges of water, sometimes reaching heights of over 100 feet. Just imagine 100 feet. Generally, our rooms are 10 to 12, 15 feet high. Just add on, a complete building could be covered over there. These walls of water can cause widespread destruction, then they crash ashore, means they even break the shores there. Now, what causes a tsunami? These awe inspiring waves are typically caused by large undersea earthquakes at tectonic plate boundaries. When the ocean floor at a plate boundary rises or falls suddenly, it displaces the water above it and launches the rolling waves that will become a tsunami. So, today's chapter is all about tsunami that hit the world on 26 December 2004. So, let's begin with the chapter. A tsunami is a very large and powerful wave caused by earthquakes under the sea. On 26 December 2004, a tsunami hit Thailand and parts of India such as Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast, which are some stories of courage and survival. Now, see, in this chapter, you will come to know how some of the people were able to survive this tsunami. And it is all about the story of their courage. Did animals sense that a tsunami was coming? Some stories suggest that they did. It is generally said that animals have a sixth sense. So sometimes animals are able to just come to know about the coming danger. So let's begin with the first story. These stories are all from Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. Archipelago is a group of many islands like Andaman and Nicobar. Now, Ignatius was the manager of a cooperative society in Kachal. His wife woke him at 6 a.m. because she felt an earthquake. Now, one day at 6 a.m., that was the day 26 December, his wife woke him up because she could feel earthquake. Ignesh carefully took his television set off his table and put it down on the ground so that it would not fall and break. And then the family rushed out of the house. See, Ignatius was more concerned about the television set. So he lifted it up from the table and put it down on the floor and then rushed with his family outside the house. When the tremors stopped, they saw the sea rising. As soon as the tremors of the earth, the vibration into the earth stopped, they saw that the sea water was rising high. In the chaos and confusion, two of his children caught hold of the hands of their mother's father, that is their maternal grandfather, and mother's brother, that is their maternal uncle, their mamaji. They hold their hands and rushed in the opposite direction, opposite of the sea. He never saw them again. Ignatius never saw them again. It means they were washed away by the tsunami. His wife was also swept away. Only the three other children who came with him were saved. Now he caught hold of the hands of the other children and they were saved with him. Next is Sanjeev was a policeman serving in the Kachal island of the Nicobar group of islands. He somehow managed to save himself, his wife, and his baby daughter from the waves. But then he heard cries for help from the wife of John, the guest house cook. Sanjeev jumped into the water to rescue her, but they were both swept away. Now, see, Sanjeev was a policeman. He was able to survive and come out of the tsunami area along with his wife. But then he heard the screaming of the guest house cook's wife. He jumped into the water to save her. But the tsunami waves were so strong that they both were washed away. 13-year-old Meghna was swept away along with her parents and 77 other people. She spent 2 days floating in the sea, holding onto a wooden door. 11 times she saw relief helicopters overhead, but they did not see her. She was brought to the shore by a wave and was found walking on the seashore in a daze. Now, see again that this little girl, Meghna, she was also swept away with her family, 77 other people. Now, she was floating in the sea, holding onto a wooden door. 11 times the rescue helicopters. You all know this, that the rescue helicopters go to these uh, natural calamity hit areas. They even drop the food, but these helicopters didn't notice her, and she was brought to the shore only by the waves, and she was walking on the seashore in a daze means quite confused. She was not able to understand what has happened with her. Almas Javed was 10 years old. She was a student of Carmel Convent in Port Blair, where her father had a petrol pump. Her mother Rahila's home was in Naunkauri Island. The family had gone there to celebrate Christmas. Now, another story of Almas Javed. She was only 10 years old and had come to her maternal grandparents' house to celebrate Christmas. When the tremors came early in the morning, the family was sleeping. Alma's father saw the sea water recede. See, before the tsunami, what happens? The water first recedes inside the sea. Now, this is not a good sign when the water goes back, because as it goes back, it comes back and hits the shore with a greater force and height. He understood that the water would come rushing back with great force. He woke everyone up and tried to rush them to a safer place. Now, see, Alma's father got to know that tsunami is on the way. So he rushed everybody to a safer place. As they ran, her grandmother was hit on the head by something. Grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. Alma's father rushed to help him. Then came the first giant wave that swept both of them away. Now her grandfather fell, and just to rescue him, his father also went there. And suddenly, the first giant wave of tsunami came and swept both of them. Alma's mother and aunt stood clinging to the leaves of a coconut tree. You know that coconut trees are very tall. Calling out to her, a wave uprooted the tree. See the force of the tsunami waves, that they even uprooted the coconut tree and they too were washed away. Alma saw a log of wood floating. She climbed onto it, then she fainted. When she woke up, she was in a hospital in Kamorta. From there, she was brought to Port Blair. The little girl does not want to talk about the incident with anyone. She is still traumatized. Now, see, she was so traumatized. She was in a trauma. She was awe-stricken. What has happened to her? Her whole family was washed away. She don't know for how many days she was floating onto the log, and then she reached Port Blair in a hospital. Next story is of Tilly Smith. A British schoolgirl was able to save many lives when the tsunami struck Phuket Beach in Thailand. Though she has won a number of awards for this, her parents have not allowed their daughter to be interviewed on television and made into heroine. Why do you think they took that decision? Just think it over and we will discuss this later. That why her parents didn't allow her to be interviewed. Now, here's a story from Thailand. The Smith family from southeast England was celebrating Christmas at a beach resort in southern Thailand. Tilly Smith was a 10-year-old schoolgirl. Her sister was 7 years old. The Smith family from southeast England was celebrating Christmas at a beach resort in southern Thailand. Tilly Smith was a 10-year-old schoolgirl. Her sister was 7 years old. Their parents were Penny and Colin Smith. It was 26 December 2004. Deadly tsunami waves were already on their way. They had been triggered by a massive earthquake off northern Sumatra earlier that morning. The water was swelling and kept coming in. Penny Smith remembered the beach was getting smaller and smaller. I didn't know what was happening. Now they were all there. It was 26 December. Deadly tsunami waves were already on their way. They had been triggered by a massive earthquake of northern Sumatra earlier that morning. They've got to know that. Now the water was swelling and kept coming in. Penny Smith remembered that she knows what was actually going to happen. She didn't know what was actually happening, but she had seen something of same kind in a video which her geography teacher had shown. But Tilly Smith sensed that something was wrong. Her mind kept going back to a geography lesson she had taken in England just 2 weeks before she flew out to Thailand with her family. Tilly saw the sea slowly rise and start to foam, bubble, and form whirlpools. She remembered that she had seen this in the class in a video of a tsunami that had hit the Hawaiian Islands in 1946. Her geography teacher had shown her class the video and told them that tsunamis can be caused by earthquakes, volcanoes, and landslides. Tilly started to scream at her family to get off the beach. She talked about an earthquake under the sea. She got more and more hysterical. Now, as she remembered what she had seen in the video of a tsunami in her geography class, she realized that a tsunami was going to hit. So, she was not able to explain everybody. She was a small girl, school girl like you all, but she started screaming at her family to get off the beach. She talked about an earthquake under the sea. She got more and more hysterical. Now, hysterical means she was just out of control, and her mother, Penny, said, I didn't know what a tsunami was, but seeing my daughter so frightened, I thought something serious must be going on. Actually, her mother was not aware of what actually tsunamis are. But when she saw her daughter screaming in such a way, she realized that it could be something serious. Tilly's parents took her and her sister away from the beach to the swimming pool at the hotel. A number of other tourists also left the beach with them. Then it was if the entire sea had come out after them. I was screaming, run. The family took refuge in the third floor of the hotel. The building withstood the surge of 3 tsunami waves. If they had stayed on the beach they would have not been alive. Now they went on the third floor of the building, and 3 strong tsunami waves hit the building, but the building was strong enough to avail that. It stayed there, but had they been on the beach, they would have been surely dead. The Smiths later met other tourists who had lost entire families. Thanks to Tilly and her geography lesson, they had been forewarned. Tilly went back to her school in England and told her classmates her terrifying tale. Now, see, when she reached back, she told everybody that what had actually happened. Now, look carefully at the picture of the boy and his dog and try to describe the things that you see. Using just words and phrases, either the teacher or one of the students can write down the words and phrases on the blackboard. This will do when the school reopens. This is how you can start. Leave it. Before the giant wave slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, wild and domestic animals seemed to know what was about to happen. See, in India, we have number of superstitions regarding the crying of the dogs or the cat, or something bad may happen. So it is said that they have the strong sixth sense, so that they can foretell the what is going to happen soon in future. Now, some of the animals who showed such signs during tsunami also approves to this theory that animals actually have a strong sixth sense. What happened? See, they fled to safety. According to eyewitnesses' accounts, Elephants screamed and ran for higher grounds. Dogs refused to go outdoors. Flamingos abandoned their low lying breeding areas. Flamingos are birds. And zoo animals rushed into their shelters and could not be enticed to come back out. So, all the animals tried to hide themselves to a safer place and they were not coming out. Many people believe that animals possess a sixth sense and know when the earth is going to shake. Some experts believe that animals' more acute hearing helps them to hear or feel the earth's vibration. So, scientifically, it is said that their hearing senses are more acute, more accurate. So, therefore, they are able to sense earth's vibration much earlier than human beings. They can sense an approaching disaster long before humans realize what's going on. We cannot be sure whether animals have a sixth sense or not, but the fact is that the giant wave that rolled through the Indian Ocean killed more than 150,000 people in dozen countries, but not many animals have been reported dead. And it proves the fact. See, more of the human race was killed in the tsunami, but very few animals. Along India's Cuddler coast, where thousands of people perished, buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. The Yala National Park in Sri Lanka is home to a variety of animals, including elephants, leopards, and 130 species of birds. 60 visitors were washed away from the Petangala beach inside the park, but no animal carcasses were found. Carcasses means dead bodies, except for two water buffaloes. About an hour before the tsunami hit, people at Yala National Park had observed three elephants running away from the Padangla beach. A Sri Lankan gentleman who lives on the coast near Gale said his two dogs would not go out for the daily run on the beach. They are usually excited to go on this outing, he said. But on that day, they refused to go and most probably saved his lives. So, these all examples show us that animals, due to their acute sense of hearing, were saved and they were unharmed. Because when the dead bodies were found after tsunami, very few dead bodies of animals were found. It was mostly the humans. So, it could be easily proved through this example. So, I hope you understood the chapter now. Thank you.